All right, guys, so today on the HELLSTANG project, we're doing some more engine stuff. And in the last video, you saw me get the oil pan mocked up onto the engine. I had to do some modifications to the pickup tube. We got that stuff all completed. We also put on a high volume oil pump. And today, kind of the last thing to do is we've got to put a hole into our oil pan. Yes, into our brand new oil pan. We've got to get a hole right here that will be for the turbocharger drain line, the oil drain line. So this is a 10 AN line. It's just going to end up, kind of draining down gravity feed into here. And so we've got to get that drilled, and I can already tell you that that's going to be a pain in the butt because I can already see where we've got some baffling here on this pan. So right where we want to put it, we're going to be in the way. So that'll be something to contend with, but we're going to get that done. And then the other thing is the fitting that I purchased that goes onto the oil pan. It's not quite a ½ inch. So 10 AN is about a ½ inch inside diameter. And we want to make sure that that ½ inch inside diameter carries all the way through into the pan. One of the biggest problems that guys always have with turbochargers is if you've ever seen a turbo car driving around with, oily exhaust blowing out, a lot of times it's from either too much pressure feeding into the turbo and or the drain is not properly draining quite enough. So I want to make sure that we have a ½ inch, consistently all the way through the turbo and we don't have any issues. A lot of guys now are even going to 12 AN return lines. So that would be my recommendation. Just go right to a 12 AN. That way, even if some of your fittings are a little bit smaller, they would end up being still probably a ½ inch, right? So you wouldn't have any problems. But the turbo setup that I bought, it already has this. So we're just going to go with it. And so let's do it. Let's stop talking, get rolling. Now this is the fitting I was talking about. So this fitting, we're going to drill a hole into the oil pan. This is just going to slide right in and then it gets bolted onto the inside so you don't have to actually weld this. But like I was saying, this is not actually a ½ inch. It's actually 3/8. It was slightly bigger than 3/8. So I just drilled it out with a 7/16. So I'm going to go ahead and hit it with the ½ inch and then we'll be good to go. We can go ahead and start drilling our hole into the freaking oil pan. All right, so it is done. So that baby is a ½ inch all the way through now. So easy peasy. Now we can move on to actually getting our hole drilled in our oil pan. So that's going to be fun. All right, so to drill this bad boy out, all we're going to do, I'm just using a unibit. This makes it pretty easy, but you could use whatever, right? You just need to be probably, I don't know, it's a ½ inch inside diameter, so it's probably 7/8 or something. But the only thing, like I was telling you guys, I got to kind of figure out is we're kind of drilling in here smack dab right into this thing. So I'm not sure if I want to go too much lower. I don't know. So we'll see. I might end up even just cutting this thing and, it's only held in with a couple tack welds. So I could maybe take my angle grinder, just cut it here, cut it right there actually. And that way this will be an open spot and then we don't have to worry about it. So that might be the best thing. Otherwise, I'm worried if I put it too far, down here, then we're going to be, kind of stuck with, I'm worried it might be too low is what I'm trying to say, right? I don't want this thing. So because this thing is just a gravity drain, you don't want the oil to be draining into like the oil fill level, right? Because it might add a little bit more resistance. We'd like it to be above it. So it's just shooting down, into the pan. So I want it to be actually almost as high as possible. So I think we are going to have to get rid of this. It is what it is. We got to do what we got to do for the turbo goodness. All right, so this little piece came off pretty easy. So got that popped out, took my file, just kind of filed this stuff down just to, make sure no shavings and stuff are going to hopefully end up in here. We'll have to clean this all out after, of course. But now we can go ahead, we can flip it around. And I think what I'm actually going to do, so when I marked this out, this was just kind of the spot that looked pretty good when I had it all mocked up. But the problem with this is it's sort of right underneath this bolt hole. I want to make sure it's not obstructing or causing any issues. So I'm actually going to move it a little bit so it's in between these two bolt holes right here. So we're just going to move it over a little bit, grab it right here. And I want it to be kind of pretty high up. with this fitting. So, you know, enough room to be able to get a socket on there and everything, but, you know, maybe something kind of like that is kind of what I'm thinking. So I might go get a Sharpie, kind of remark it, but yeah, something just like that right at the top of the pan. All right, so we got this guy all installed, all tightened down. I did put a whole bunch of red Loctite on here. Again, this is the first time that I've ever used one of these where it bolts in. Usually I always weld them, but this was like, I don't know, $5 or something. So decided, hey, let's roll with it. That'll be nice and easy. And then, you know, if you ever do need to take it off or move it or something, at least it'd be pretty simple. So should be okay, should be fine. But yeah, position turned out pretty good. So we got room for our bolts on both sides. And now I just got to go ahead and thoroughly kind of clean this thing. And this will be ready to go onto the motor whenever we get to that point. We do have some gaskets and stuff we got to clean up and kind of finish, just maybe clean off the block a little bit more. So it's going to be nice and dirty, but once it's all done and painted and all together, I can't freaking wait to see it. It's going to look so awesome.